Imagine for a moment you're a farmer, and right in the middle of your field is a rather large mountain of dirt.
Well, in the early 1900s, this was cotton fields with a mound in the center.
There was something special about this mound. It attracted unwanted attention from would-be treasure hunters who would trespass on the land. With the mound in danger, state archaeologists stepped in.
They came out, they started the research in 1937. There was an acre of land that was donated to the state of North Carolina, and Dr. Joffrey Coe, the first archaeologist that out here leading the project, he carried on that archaeological work for decades.
Today, the site encompasses 50-plus acres. Welcome to the Town Creek Indian Mound State Historic Site.
We are outside the town of Mount Gilead, which is in the south central Piedmont of the state. And we're at a very unique historic site because this is the only one that deals exclusively with American Indian history.
The main attraction here, the mound itself.
It is a very well-engineered pile of dirt. The people here planned it. They have it oriented the way that they wanted it to be.
This well-designed pile of dirt actually isn't that unique. There used to be hundreds of them built across the southeast and in other parts of the country. It's a well-preserved example of Mississippian culture.
People have been here for over 12,000 years. For most of that time, people were hunting and gathering. But about 1,000 years ago, they started living here permanently and practicing this Mississippian cultural tradition.
Alan adds that location was key for the success of this village.
This is a rich resource environment. So they're growing corn, there's squash and pumpkins and beans. So all of these are being eaten predominantly here in the southeast. There's all sorts of wild fruits that people can gather in. And then the animals that are out here, the deer and the rabbits and the turkeys and all sorts of other things that people can hunt.
Site manager Rich Thompson says it's hard to estimate how many people actually called Town Creek home.
It's anybody's guess. We're at what would have been the equivalent of a county seat or a state capital of sorts. This was a political center, it was a religious center, it was a place where people met for commerce. There were artisans that practiced skills here. It was a center for trade. And it would have been a large population center.
And it was the mound that was at the heart of the village.
It's a monument. It's an example of prehistoric monumental work, and it was built to elevate a particular building, what we refer to as the townhouse. But that structure served sort of like your courthouse or legislative building, and it was also a little bit like a church as well.
Visitors to Town Creek can step inside the reconstructed townhouse and other structures to get a feel for what it might have been like to live here 1,000 years ago and how the buildings were constructed.
Here with this village site, it was round buildings, and these are constructed with wattle and daub architecture. So the wattle is these branches that are woven in and out of posts, like making a basket, and then daub is clay that's packed in on top.
As director of the Museum of the Southeast American Indian in Pembroke, Nancy Fields visits Town Creek often. On this day, she brought a group of teachers from all over the state for a first-hand look at the village.
So what we're doing is we're fulfilling a really exciting project. I brought a group of social studies teachers out to the site, and we are gathering content to create a teaching curriculum, a statewide teaching curriculum.
But as a Native American herself, walking into the village is also very personal.
I think probably one of my favorite parts, even before getting to the stockade, is the pathway that leads into that place. It is spiritual, and you can't help but feel this very visceral, innate connection to this place. It's always peaceful, and I appreciate the solitude and the quiet to really think about and reflect the people that were here and honor their memory and kind of be still with them.
According to Thompson, a visit to Town Creek can change perspectives.
A lot of people will come to the site and they know that this site deals with American Indians, and they come in with this idea that these were primitive people. They lived maybe a backwards life, a hard, unnecessarily hard life, but when they see this site and they see the information we have in the museum about what Town Creek was like, it changes their mind. These folks were sophisticated.
Town Creek Indian Mound connects North Carolinians to a way of life 12,000 years in the making, and a connection to a much overlooked part of the continent's history. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terzis reporting.